everybody, and welcome to Counter Reviews, the one segment of the BRC guys, backroom crew, where we talk about movies that we've seen. If we like them, let you know if we like them. If not, we tell you not to go watch it. So that was a nice intro. I like that.
So what movie did we watch, Wes?
We just got finished watching Dune.
Which Dune?
That Dune. The one with the giant worms.
No, I mean the version of Dune, Wesley.
We watched the original
the
film,
original
theatrical one of Doom,
Theatrical.
not the miniseries that Sci-Fi did a little while
I kind of
ago.
wanted to see the uncut one.
We ain't got that kind of time,
But
Wesley.
it would have been fun though.
We ain't got that kind of
There's
time.
the internet is a thing, Wesley. You can look it up at home.
You don't do anything different than
The
Wesley.
movie was long.
Just watch the sci-fi
It was
miniseries.
long.
Anywho,
It was long.
what did you guys think of the movie?
I thought it was okay. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
A lot of interesting subplots. A lot of, sneaking behind corners. Almost gave me the feel like Game of Thrones almost. That was pretty cool. With a lot of the power struggles and whatnot. But, it was still pretty linear.
I mean, I liked it. I mean, it's a different sci-fi type movie, whereas you got Star Trek, where Patrick Stewart was in this one, but you got your Star Trek stuff and your Star Wars stuff, where this one was like completely left wing of all like the super tech stuff and was more fantasy sci-fi than anything really.
Yeah.
That's because the tech is more. It's a people-based system rather than a machine-based system, and that's what makes it so fantasy feeling. Because everybody has a job and everybody does the job. So you have people who are trained to be calculators. And you have people who are trained to be giant space slugs. I mean, that's an interesting job decision, but
But I mean,
What? Dude!
yeah,
And then you have the badass Force warriors
yeah,
that make Jedi's look like chumps.
yeah, basically when you can just basically control everything with the Force.
Yeah.
It was a fun movie. I remember when I first saw it when I was really young. I happened to stumble across it when it was on Sci-Fi, and I didn't realize how long it was going to be. And I sat there and watched the whole thing all night. When I was like, oh my god, this movie's so cool.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Yeah.
compared to the remake or the miniseries that Sci-Fi did a little while ago, I mean, if you're going to sit down and watch it, if you're not familiar with Dune or anything like that, go ahead and watch the newer one because it's going to be a lot more in depth, a lot better written, a lot more interesting, and it's going to be broken up to where you can watch it and it makes sense.
There are a lot of points in the movie where it kind of skips ahead or you're not quite clear who's talking to whom, and it gets a bit confusing.
Yeah, the
But
internal
that's
dialogues
because
was
the
pretty
book
hilarious.
itself, which they were remaining really adhering to, is a very, very involved piece of literature.
Yeah, so, I mean, if you want to see it, I recommend you see it, but if you're not the type of person to be, like, real into sci-fi, you're going to kind of drift off. I mean, Dee Dee fell asleep in the first 10 minutes.
This was my first introduction to the whole thing. I had not even heard of Dune before Andre started mentioning it. So, I don't know. Just watching it, following along with it seemed like it was pretty solid.
Hey, I'm not taking anything away from the movie. I'm just saying that, like, if you're not into that type of movie, you're not going to
Oh,
get
yeah,
a good
most
time with it.
definitely. Yeah, it'll probably
I still think it's funny that
fall asleep
Wesley
there.
has like attention problems, but he watched the entire thing and Davey passed out in 10 minutes.
He did.
It was a good movie. What?
But, I mean, it's what was it, 1980s, early
It's like
80s?
the mid 80s.
I mean, like the top of the line, most advanced movie at the time, Star Wars.
Yeah.
Nothing else could touch the amount of technology that went into that. But this was trying to compete with that, but they didn't have the tech or the ability to do it.
But still,
It also
a lot
didn't
of good shots,
capture. It also didn't capture the audience's mind. I'm guessing probably due to the heavy religious overtones.
though.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it was
Space
a lot of
Nazis.
heavy, yeah.
Space Nazis and space Muslims.
Yes.
But at
yes.
the same time, definitely good cinematography. They got a lot of good shots in there, a lot of good imagery. So yeah, I mean, they did a pretty good job.
Also, better force powers than Star Wars.
Well, yeah, the weirding way. Could you think of a better name?
All of that
The
like
weirding way.
Skyrim-esque chanting.
Basically, they
for the
use
magic stuff.
they use their voice in a little modulator and shoot lasers out of hand.
It's voice, thought, and technology.
yeah. So I mean, it works, but
It can shatter stone.
yes. Oh, and the giant sandworms. Wesley or DB's telling us about Bag. It was bad.
What was bad?
Oh, what was bad?
Nothing was
We're not-
bad about
it
it.
Again, I just mentioned the movie had with the movie, especially the because we got the DVD, the Blu-ray version was truncated, so there are spots where they have to skip through a lot, and they jump from point to point, especially like almost in the middle where it feels like there was supposed to be like a training montage there, but instead people just kept making out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could have done a lot more 80s music.
Because there was like a training montage where they were training an army, but instead of showing them training the army, the people were just making out. And so they go from like nobody knows how to do this to a fully trained army after 2 makeout sessions, which is like okay.
Basically,
That's
there was,
all you need, though.
they could have done more with the war. I mean,
Well, not all you need. I mean, come on.
But I mean, I'm guessing at the time that just rendering the gigantic sandworms and hovercrafts and all that shit would probably
those
blow their
sandworms were
budget out.
claymation, first of all.
But still, I mean, budgets are budgets. That was
Yeah.
I can't even imagine how much how much it costs to get the 3D tech to render polygonal shields that
Oh, God.
basic in the mid 1980s.
Oh,
That
yeah.
must have blew out their budget.
Oh,
That was actually pretty cool. I mean, for the time.
it's like 10 o'clock when we're doing this. I'm a little tired.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He's an old man.
I am an old man. But no, it was freaking the quality. There was a couple like the CG. Of course, again, it was the '80s, so they can only be so technologically advanced with it when they made this movie. But like, it felt a little weird watching it now versus like watching it back when I was 9 because you could tell when it was gray screen. You could tell when they like superimposed stuff on everything.
You can tell that some of the video introduction was made using a basic version of DOS.
Yeah. It's not like, like a Star Trek or anything either. Because, I mean, they got it right. They used a lot of green screens in Star Trek, and it felt a lot more believable than... What?
I think it all
Why are
came
you
down
freaking
to
out over there? You have a seizure?
No!
Do we need to stop
Whenever
the
the
film?
ships in Star Trek would shake, it was just this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is
Well, I
accurate.
mean, like, but again, though, like what I'm saying, like, when you looked out, like, when they had the view screens on, where, like, you had the view screens on in here, you could definitely tell it was a green screen. Like, they weren't talking to anybody.
Yeah, but when I said in the beginning, it's a people-based tech society.
Yeah.
In Star Trek and Star Wars, they supplement with a lot of robotics and machinery,
think-
which they didn't do in this.
I think they would have done a lot better if they had explained that the technology was used like that.
But that would have required a Terminator-length backstory, which would probably have been its own movie.
Still though, I mean, they could have took 5-10 minutes, explain what's going on.
Yo, robots are crazy as fuck, and they're about to blow your house up, so we decided to destroy all of them so that wouldn't happen.
Instead, they're like, here's the planet. It has pumpkin spice on it, and it's the only planet in the world that has pumpkin spice. So whoever controls the spice controls the galaxy because you've used the spice for everything.
God, I love
In my
pumpkin
head, it's
spice.
just this image of like Dune, just this gigantic pumpkin.
Right?
No, this is like it's just a Starbucks logo.
Yeah. Starbucks
Around.
would make a fortune. A fortune.
But again, I mean, it's I don't know. I'd give it a solid on a scale on a 5-star scale. I'd give it a 3.5 count. Wesley,
That's a little low. I'd give it about 4.
Yeah, I would give it a 4 as well. It's a solid story. It's actual sci-fi. There's no, oh, let's dumb it down so that people won't get too weirded out about it.
well, that's the reason why I don't give it 4 stars. I give it 3.5 stars. Is because the story is really hard to hold on to. For people that aren't going to be like myself, or I mean, of course, DB he passed out in the first 5 minutes. I mean, it's going to be a lot harder for certain people to pull into that story.
And mind you, though, also, although it wasn't visually pleasing, it was definitely, enough for a person to take and make a sandwich out of and enjoy the sandwich. So,
I mean, you literally made a sandwich and ate the sandwich during the movie.
yeah, I kind of did. I did that. And it was good. That's what I'm saying. That amount of depth for a story is what makes it so good. And that's why I'm saying I give it a 4 out of 5. The only reason I had a 5 out of 5 again is because of the budget being blown on the floating fat guy,
Who was awesome, by the way.
who was hilarious.
I mean, you have to spend a lot of money modeling all those STD effects.
All right, but anyway, though,
I swear to God,
I think
I
as
to give it
we're
a 4.5 out of
we're
5
gonna-
because the bread was dry for your peanut butter and jelly
Dre, we're
sandwich.
cutting this down because we're hitting our little time review. But again, though, go see it. It's on Blu-ray. You can probably find it on the internet. It's Dune by it's Frank
Wait, I
Herbert's Dune.
introed. That means I have the outro.
You took too long.
God
So
dang
anywho,
it.
this is Background Crew doing a counterpoint review of Dune.
And
Josh,
real
that's
good.
Wesley and
It's
Dre.
real good. I can't say my own name. I'm Wesley.
4 o'clock, Wes.
Anyway.
Bye, guys.